South African passports for minors will include parental details from February 2017. The Directorate of Home Affairs has done away with the unabridged version of South Africa's birth certificate and only now issues birth certificates detailing both parents' particulars. The minor's passport will be the main travel document. The industry has, however, complained about long-standing confusion over South Africa's travelling minor visa requirements, specifically for minors coming from visa-exempt countries. We're joined on the line right now by Mahihlome Chwete. He's a Home Affairs spokesperson. Good evening and welcome to the show. Now, can you tell us, how does your department plan to implement these changes? I mean, with all the department issuing passports, will it be issuing new passports rather, or will the old ones also work for minors who haven't yet gotten the new version?
Good evening and good evening to your viewers. I must just set the context that following the impasse last year between the tourism sector and the Department of Home Affairs, an IMC was called, and that IMC met and came up with a number of recommendations. What the DG was reporting on today is how Home Affairs has implemented all of those recommendations that both the tourism sector and the Department of Home Affairs agreed to. A part of those recommendations includes what you are speaking about, which is a passport that will include the details of the parent. Child's passport that has the details of the parents. That's currently going to be introduced next year for South Africans only. And as the DG cautioned, and as you're rightfully saying, we don't want to cause a stampede where we make people think that the passports they have will not be able to be used to leave the country or come back into the country. Those passports will still work, just in conjunction with the birth certificate. What this one does is it just gives the traveler more convenience in that it includes all of the details of the birth certificate into the passport. But both versions can work. Traveling with the passport with an unabridged or a birth certificate, and traveling with this new passport that has the details of the parent in it. But this is only something that's being done by South Africans. What is needed when you're speaking about clarity is what happens to countries that don't have visa requirements, like the United States and Europe and those ones. And we have been saying that all countries, until we make a further announcement, when they travel to South Africa, they must travel with unabridged birth certificates for children. And if they're not traveling with the child, or one of the parents is not traveling with the child, they must have a consent letter for the child to travel. So we are quite clear, and we are quite clear on the issue of how children need to travel in and out of the Republic. We are equally concerned about causing confusion. That's why we meet with our tourism stakeholders regularly to make sure that when we communicate to the public, the audience, which is the travelers, doesn't get mixed signals and not know what they need when they come to South Africa.
Now, also, Mahihlome, what happens in the situation where single parents have actually lost contact with the father or mother of their child due to a bad relationship?
Remember, when parents agree that they're going to put themselves on the birth certificate, that birth certificate becomes a legal document, binding document. If there's any changes in that relationship, obviously aside from death, they are required to go to court, change the legal authority that they have over that child. Home Affairs can't by itself remove a parent that was on a birth certificate without the courts giving a decision to do so. Because if we do that, either one of those parents can come back and hold Home Affairs liable for that. But single parents who the other parent is not in the life of the child are allowed to register a child as a single parent. But if you do choose to register as both parents, to remove a parent, it will require the court because that birth certificate now becomes a legal document that Home Affairs can't just change willy-nilly.
Now, Mahihlome, there was a meeting today for the coming festive season, as you mentioned. This is one of the recommendations. What were the other highlights of the meeting held today?
Well, they're quite extensive. They range from some of the interventions that we've taken already around biometrics at the ports of entry, the capturing of biometrics. They also range around the opening of visa facilitation centers in Zimbabwe, Botswana, and also looking at expanding our footprint in big markets like China, India, and those type of markets. There was also a recommendation that we should review some of the countries that are currently requiring visas to South Africa. That's ongoing. And then there was this issue of this, what we're speaking now about the strong advisory, when the strong advisory is going to be issued for visa-exempt countries for children to travel into South Africa. So it's quite extensive. But also what the DG spoke to quite clearly was the issue of capacity and the impact it has on some of our ports of entry, specifically the ones that have been covered by the media, like OR Tambo. So DG communicated with stakeholders the challenge that we have in terms of capacity and resources to fill up all of those stations so that we can process travelers a lot quicker than we are currently doing. We are a department that values efficiency, and we ourselves are not happy about what's going on, but our hands are tied by our constraints of financial strength, so to say.
Well, thank you so much.